Yo, what's up? I'm Marcus. You're at the channel The Debt Free Dad, where we're talking finances, current events, attorney reactions, uh, a smorgasbord, if you will, of things to educate you and entertain you. I always have to start out with the disclaimer. I am a licensed attorney, but I'm not your attorney, so this isn't legal or financial advice. Just giving y'all my opinion, takes on financial topics, current events, and my reactions, my real reactions to things as they happen. This video is I guess this is kind of one of those videos that's like an honesty moment related to my finances, and it's something that I realized. Like, we all see all these finance YouTubers out here, or people who talk about their money and their budget and how you can do this and do that and use taxes to your advantage and write off stuff and get a G wagon. we see all these people on YouTube talk all the time about finances and budgeting and investing, but I like the people who like show their portfolio, or at least is real with you, give you real numbers about things that are going on. And so I thought that this is a prime opportunity for y'all to learn about something that I realized about myself this week, is that I still have a broke mentality with my finances when it comes to certain things. I never always get it right. My budget is never 100% accurate. I try to stay accurate, but some months it is, some months it's not. I pay towards my debt, but some months I take off because it may be another expense that I want to take care of and not use money in the emergency fund. So different things happen that cause me, like everybody else, to get off track, off course with my finances or with my finances. But I was close. And hey, this is the honesty moment. I wanted to be candor to the tribunal. That's what they say when they want attorneys to be honest with the court. So candor to the tribunal, candor to the DFD community. Like, it was an opportunity where I was this close to not actually paying my credit card bill off completely this past month. I know, like, shocked and chagrined. Like, why would you do that? Because, think about it. I haven't had credit card debt that I didn't pay off every month, the entire balance. And man, it's been years, like maybe 2 years. Because I went a year with just using debit cards and paying cash before. So it's maybe been 2 years, a year and a half since I actually started using credit cards. And I mean, even longer than that since I actually was carrying over a balance. So I know a lot of y'all probably thinking, well, why in the hell, if you know that the interest is going to accrue if you don't pay it off, why in the hell would you not pay your credit card off every month, last month, when you've been doing that for a year and a half? Well, I got caught up in what I think is a broke person's mindset. So here's the example. This is what happened. Okay. I got this emergency fund sitting over in this account, and I don't have a debit card to this account. In order for me to get money out of this account, I got to do a bank to bank transfer, and it takes like 2 business days for this transfer to go through. So, y'all know I've been using my American Express card, paying it off every month. I had an expense that came up that required me to go into the emergency fund. It was about $3,080 and some change, to be exact. Now that money's sitting over there to be used for that purpose. So I could easily just get the money out, pay for what I need to pay for. Then over a period of time, it would probably take to put $3,000 back. It'll probably take, if I go at my normal pace, it would probably take 3 to 4 months to put that back. But that wasn't the first thing I thought. The first thing I thought was, I don't want to take that money out of that account that's sitting over there. So I actually looked, and American Express has this thing where, let's say I make 10 purchases on my American Express card, right? I could go to my American Express card, select one of those purchases, and just pick one of those specific purchases to pay over a period of time. Everything else, I'll pay off completely. But that one purchase, I would pay off over time. Now, of course, they do charge you interest for this, but the interest was just so low that it was really tempting. Like it was like on that $3,000, it would have been like $18 or $20, something like that. It'd have been $20 a month to carry that over for 2 months so I could pay it off in smaller portions as opposed to paying it off all at once. And and I was actually like, it literally took me up until the last day to pay my bill to decide not to do it. Literally, 3 days before the bill was due, I transferred the money from my emergency fund to my account so I can pay it. But I was still thinking about it. I was still thinking, my mindset was so caught up on, I have this amount of money over here and I'm just so used to seeing it that I don't want to touch it. So I thought that was weird. Have any of you all had a problem with spending money that's in your emergency fund? And I couldn't figure out why I did that, why I would do that. And then I think it kind of hit me. I think that I'm really not used to paying for emergencies out of my emergency fund. Okay, let's put this into context and explain what I mean. Okay, when I started this whole debt free journey years ago, as we started to build that emergency fund up and we were paying off debt, well, what happened? We didn't have to make payments on our student loans. So that allowed me to pay really aggressively on my debt. And all the time, I was still putting a little bit of money into this emergency fund. Well, since I haven't and we haven't been obligated to pay on our debt, if an emergency comes up, what we do is, rather than take the money out of the emergency fund, pay for the emergency, then slowly put that money back and get back on track with the debt, we haven't done that. So honestly, over the past 2.5 years, I never had an emergency where I actually had to go into that emergency fund. Normally, what I would do is say, you know what? Instead of paying $1,500 towards my student loan debt, what I'm going to do is not pay my student loan debt since I don't have to make a payment, but take that $1,500 I would pay and use that to pay for the emergency. So, in essence, I was really cash flowing the emergencies so I didn't have to take out the money of my emergency fund. And that's a good thing to do in theory, but it built a really bad habit. I'm not in the habit, or I didn't develop the habit of using that emergency fund money for an emergency and slowly putting it back. Because I had kind of that safety net of not having to make a student loan payment, I was like, you know what? I don't never got to touch that emergency fund as long as I don't got to make this payment. I probably could have paid an additional, over the 3 years that we've been on this journey, my student loans is probably about $32,000 from $109,000. But anytime an emergency came up, instead of using my emergency fund and slowly putting it back, I would just not make that payment since I was required to make no payments and interest didn't accrue, and just cash flow the emergency. Had I actually used the money from my emergency fund and continue making my payments on my student loans over the past, since 2020, I probably could have paid an extra ten to $12,000 on my student loans. That's like 3 years worth of emergencies that came up, whether it was car repair or a tax thing or an unexpected doctor visit or what have you. I could have paid an extra $10 to $12,000, but because I didn't have to make student loan payments, I had that safety net. So when I made this emergency purchase, it was $3,000. My first thought wasn't to just take the money out of my emergency fund and pay it. My first thought was, man, that money just sitting there. I don't really want to touch it. I've got conditioned and used to just seeing it there where I didn't want to touch it. So 3 days before the bill was due, I transferred the money from the emergency fund to my account. I didn't make the payment of, I still use my credit card to pay the emergency, but then I made the payment immediately for the funds. I ultimately ended up doing the right thing, but because the interest was so low and it would have allowed me to pay it over the course of 2 or 3 months, I was like, man, $3,000. I'm only paying $20 a month. $20 a month for 3 months. I would have it paid off in maybe 2.5 months, and I could still have that emergency fund sitting there. That's a real bad habit that's a real broke ass habit and a real broke ass mentality. And the wild part is like, I don't know. I guess it's something that I just kind of have to learn to do. I probably got a little bit spoiled with these student loans and not having to make payments. So when something came up, I would just cash flow it instead of going into my emergency fund. But we all know that shit is about to come to an abrupt end. But I wanted to just, you know, talk about this because nobody is perfect when it comes to their finances. I know my shit not perfect. I got a budget allocation for going over the budget because I know we normally go over a little bit sometimes. So I got kind of a little cushion in the budget to account for that. Now the wife don't know I got that cushion because then that cushion wouldn't be cushion. The shit would just be called an expense. But but I got a cushion to kind of account for that. But that's a real broke mindset. That mindset that I had was one of, it's okay to pay a very little bit of interest or interest that I don't think is that much as long as I got this money sitting over here. But it's really no benefit to doing that. It defeats the point of having a nest egg to cover emergencies, and it's costing me extra money that I don't want to lose. But me, as the debt free dad, as an attorney, as somebody who's fairly in the know of the finance game, that was a hard ass decision for me to make, to pull that money out to pay it off immediately, as opposed to paying an extra $40 just to pay it over the course of 2 months, just so I could visually see a certain amount in my emergency fund. That shit sound crazy as hell. Is has anybody ever had that problem, or is that just a me thing? And so I think the big takeaways for me from this is, when you got an emergency fund or you're doing something with your finances, you have to get in the habit of doing the right thing with those finances. And like I said, I just haven't been used for the past almost 3 years. I never really pulled money out of my emergency fund. I just cash flowed it because I didn't really have any obligation to pay my student loan. I was paying it off aggressively, but if something came up, I just didn't need to. So I never really built that muscle of using my emergency fund and then slowly building it back up. Using my emergency fund and then slowly building it back up over time. So that's something that I got to work on with my own finances. It goes to show you that nobody shit is perfect. And it was kind of wild. That was kind of my thoughts on it. Something I wanted to touch bases with y'all on, and just give y'all a little bit of honesty and something that I've struggled with my finances. I don't know why. Well, I think I just explained why. But there's a broke ass mentality, and it's something that I need to get out of, because it shouldn't have been that tough of a decision for me. Like, when that expense came up, I wasn't normally, when an expense come up, when you don't have the money to cover it, you're stressed out about how you're going to get the money to cover it. But my dumb ass, I was stressed out about, should I use the emergency fund or should I pay an extra $40 just to cash flow it over a 2 month period? It's only $40. And I really like looking at my emergency fund, seeing this specific dollar amount. But the shit is not for seeing a specific dollar amount. The shit is for when something come up. But my mind would not let me just kind of deal with that and wrap that around. So, that's just something I wanted to touch bases with y'all on. We all have our struggle with finances. We all fall off sometime. I mean, that was something minor to some people, but it was something that I didn't realize was a problem until it was happening. And I was just sitting there like, why the fuck am I thinking about this so much? Why I'm stressing about that shit? I was stressing over it over and over and over. So I wanted to give y'all some free game on that, let y'all know what was going on, because gotta keep y'all in the loop as well on our finance journey. Hey, tomorrow I want y'all to join me. I'm gonna have my homegirl on, who is a licensed veteran attorney. She's been in the game. I think she's been in the game a couple of years longer than me. Very skilled. And we're going to talk a little bit about something interesting. Is OnlyFans in the title? And of course, I had to use the woman about the story in the thumbnail, because I know the fellas like to see the women in the thumbnail. Hey, I know, I look at my algorithm. I know it's like 80% guys who subscribe to my channel. But there is a financial nexus. We're going to talk about, when should your side hustle or your side project, when should you really consider like making your full-time job your part-time charge job in exchange for your side hustle. You've been working the side hustle kind of came up and is doing well. Well, at what point would you really consider, like, damn, I can do my full-time job part-time because I'm making so much from my side hustle. I can supplement and have my same income and probably a little bit more. And to dive into that, I always like to have a good fun topic. And shout out, because this is the first guest I had on the channel in a while, since I'm doing some work on the rebranding style thing. But to talk about that and hash that out, we're going to talk about an attorney who gave up her job as an attorney to make and focus full time on OnlyFans. And we're also going to talk about a judge who got fired because of his OnlyFans. Y'all see what I said there? Pay attention. Fellas, OnlyFans does not cut work for you that way. I have yet to see a story. If it's a story out there, y'all send it to me at the email or on IG. But I've seen very few. It's probably one or two stories out there, but the vast majority of stories that I see with OnlyFans are people who are making more than their full-time job, and it's their sole means of income is all women. Fellas, this judge, his ass got fired because of his OnlyFans. But the women, their OnlyFans blow up and they can just do that. So OnlyFans not really built for y'all out there. And part of the reason why is probably because it's a higher likelihood that I think guys have a little bit more simp gene in them, so they're probably more likely to pay to see some yams on the OnlyFans screen than women probably are to pay to see guys. That's my thought. I don't know, but it's going to be an interesting topic. We're going to dive in tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Y'all make sure y'all check it out. And if you enjoyed this video, this moment of truth of me talking about something I'm struggling with financially, but is a hurdle I'm going to get over, make sure you check out the content on the screen. There's going to be more content that you'll enjoy. I started that out because I ended that mad wow because I didn't mean to end it where I'm going to say peace, but I ended it as if I was going to be like peace. But check out the content on the screen. More shit that you're going to enjoy related to finance, current events, and attorney reactions. I said it the proper way that time.